There are a lot of antibiotics, but I've narrowed it down to what I think are the 9 best. These should cover almost 99% of infections. You don't need to get every single one on this list. For example, cephalexin, amoxicillin, and erythromycin are all very similar, but you might have trouble finding a couple of them. 1. Ciprofloxacin, best for things like urinary tract infections, prostate infections, respiratory tract infections, such as bronchitis or pneumonia, bacterial diarrhea, anthrax, and diverticulitis or infectious colitis, when combined with metronidazole. It should never be used by children, pregnant women or nursing mothers. 2. Metronidazole, usually used for getting rid of anaerobic bacteria which is found in the intestine. Like I said, it can treat diverticulitis or colitis if you take it with ciprofloxacin. But it can also treat bacterial vaginosis, diabetic foot ulcer, joint or bone infections, lung or brain abscesses, meningitis, and a few other infections. This also shouldn't be taken by children, pregnant women or nursing mothers. 3. Cephalexin, great for almost any type of respiratory infection, bronchitis, pneumonia, strep throat, etc. and middle ear infections. It is safe for pregnant women and children and only has a few side effects. 4. Amoxicillin, this will handle most of the same types of bacteria as cephalexin. It's also safe for pregnant women and children and has very few side effects. However, some people are very allergic to it. In that case, you should try the next one on the list. 5. Erythromycin, like the previous 2, this one can also treat most respiratory infections and middle ear infections. It's also good for syphilis, Lyme disease, and chlamydia. And it's safe for women and children. So why not just forget the other 2 and store this instead? Because it has several potential side effects including abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. 6. Doxycycline, treats the same types of infections as erythromycin, but this one can also treat sinus infections, typhus and malaria. However, it should not be used by children, pregnant women or nursing mothers, and there are some side effects including kidney impairment and sensitive skin. 7. SMZ-TMP, that is short for sulfamethoxazole and trimethoprim. Together, these can treat most respiratory infections, but they're mainly used for urinary tract infections. But the best thing about SMZ-TMP is it can treat MRSA, methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, also known as resistant staph. This is a strain of bacteria that spreads easily and is resistant to most antibiotics. 8. Azithromycin, this one is similar to numbers 3 through 6 because it treats respiratory infections and all sorts of things like chlamydia, Lyme disease, PID, syphilis, typhoid, etc. Side effects include abdominal pain, nausea, and diarrhea, but that is rare. It's a great antibiotic to have because it treats so many different things. The problem is that it's hard to find and can be a bit expensive. 9. Ampicillin, similar to penicillin, but more effective against things like anthrax and less likely to cause an allergic reaction. Also useful for respiratory tract infections, bacterial meningitis, urinary tract infections, gastrointestinal infections, and many other things. If you don't want to get every one of these, you should at least get the first 3 on the list. Those 3 will cover 9 out of 10 infections you might get. As far as storage, just keep them in the refrigerator. You don't have to, but it will extend their shelf life. Don't freeze them, though. That can permanently alter their chemical composition and they might not work anymore. They should continue to be effective for years after the expiration date, with one exception, tetracyclines, which includes doxycycline. These can become toxic if they get too old. Don't be caught with a life-threatening infection when it's too dangerous to go out or after the stores have run out of antibiotics. They don't cost much and they could save you or a loved one's life.